Okay then. So here we are. Well, the signals on 91.3 Signals Marketplace will continue next week Saturday. To everyone who's called in, thank you. Well, this morning, so I have to increase my energy so that I will not get back. Well, so very special thanks to Mr. Olushola Oshonaiki. Yeah, I got it. So the last time we had him, we spoke about an amazing woman who has a business in Lagos. And then while he was talking, what he didn't know was while he was talking, I have very long fingers. And then I used to try and play the piano. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to ask her a lot of questions because some of us like to play some instruments that in our head we're playing the instrument. And is she's here with me. I asked for you, and here you are. She is the co-founder and CEO of Kumbi's Music Company, KMC, a mission-driven, tech-enabled hybrid music school operating out of Lagos, Nigeria, and serving both clients in Nigeria and across the globe. She's also the co-founder of Josh Leadership Academy, a leadership development and career progression consultancy. She studied economics at Manchester University, UK, and obtained an MBA with distinction from the University of Liverpool. A passionate music educator, she also holds a certification in early years music and movement from Canterbury Christ Church University. She is the fellow of the African Women's Entrepreneurship Cooperative and currently serves on their advisory board, where she supports a community of over 1,400 women in their entrepreneurial journeys. I have with me, with special warm signals, welcome, Kumbi Osinoiki. Hey, yeah, I got it. I got it. If you don't want it to come and sell me on error, let me adjust myself. Welcome to Signals.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so we're discussing music, a tool for learning. Let me. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago when we were at the office, and they were asking, so what's the topic going to be like? I was leaving the office and I said, music, a tool for learning. Where that came from, even I don't know. So, so when you sent me a message and said, oh, it was wonderful, I'm like, if only she knew that. It just brought it like that. Now, with music, what's your favorite song?
Oh, I have many songs that I love. I don't have one favorite song.
So what comes to mind?
Ah, um, I think one of the anthems that I think is key to my journey, to my story, is Goodness of God. Okay.
Oh, it's running
Um,
after. It's running after
yes,
you.
yes. That is a very important song for my journey. But I have many songs that I love.
Okay, so speaking of the goodness running after you,
Hmm.
if you listen to that lyrics, if you listen to the song, what musical instrument does it for you?
The voice,
Okay,
the
okay,
voice.
the
Hmm.
voice. Why the voice?
Well, actually, the voice is is our first musical instrument, and it's one that we all have.
Okay.
And it's actually the most powerful musical instrument that there is. It kind of lays the foundation for all of musicality. It lays a foundation for all of our musical development. You may not necessarily have a strong voice, or you not everybody's going to be an opera singer, but being able to sing in tune is really important. If you're going to be a musician, if you're going to be an elite musician, it's really important to be able to understand the nuances in different tones, and being able to express that vocally, even within whatever your range is, no matter how limited your range is quite important. So the foundations for musical development start with the voice.
Hmm. Okay. Now we're discussing music tool for learning.
Yes.
What is it about music
Okay.
that's a
So,
tool for learning?
okay. All right. So, we have the five senses,
Yes.
and the sense that collects the most information and that works even before we are born Okay, it's the first sense to develop fully, and it's the last sense to leave us, is our auditory sense, our sense of hearing. And babies, even inside the womb, um, learn the voices of people around them. They become familiar with their mother's voice, which is why when they are born, they are soothed by that voice because that's the connection that they have with the world inside. Okay, it's a familiar sound. And when people are, in coma or in their last days, on earth, and you see, especially on TV, people sat next to people on the dying bed,
Yeah.
speaking to them, reading to them, whatever, because that sense is the last sense that leaves you.
Hmm.
And so most of our learning, okay, in fact, all of our learning comes through our ears. And so that's why music is so important because the foundations for language are in music. What is language? Language is basically sounds that are arranged in a sequence, okay? And different cultures have different ways of rearranging those sounds. And that's why, when babies are first born, they have the ability to hear pretty much all the tones that there are in life. And if you
Hmm.
start a child on multiple languages early, they will learn it easily, like a sponge to water, because we are all born with that foundation. Okay. And so learning can't really happen devoid of sound and devoid of music. And what the research has shown us is that children who are surrounded by a lot of sound, a lot of speech, a lot of music, a specific type of music, they have they tend to have up to 30 million more words than children who don't.
Repeat.
Children who have a high exposure to language, to speech, to sound, to music have 30 million more words than children who don't. They're better readers, and music is it's just amazing in the way it helps you develop in your cognitive skills, your reading skills, your emotional well-being, um, so many ways
30 million words. 30 million words.
more.
That's a that's a lot of
Yeah,
that's a lot of alphabets.
yes, it is. It
So
is.
for the children who don't, what happens to them?
So their reading fluency is not as good, the comprehension is not as good, and then that therefore affects their academic attainment because they don't have the rich, kind of vocabulary that the other children have had.
Hmm. So with 30 million words, how do you then design your music curriculum to maximize this educational benefits?
So one of the things that we encourage, because our music lesson starts from right from when a baby can sit down and goes all the way through to adults. For our early years, we have what we call music and movement classes. We call them boogie babies and buddies. Yes. And it's an opportunity for parents and carers to interact with the children through songs, rhymes, and actions. Okay. And what that does is that because of the way the class is set up, it's devoid of distractions. You don't have a lot of background noise that you'd have in a normal home setting. You have intentionally curated activities and songs that help the children to pick up vocabulary, but also develop their sense of pitch, their sense of rhythm, their self-regulation, their ability to follow instructions. All of these things lay the foundation for when they start school. So those classes are actually a school readiness program, okay? Because children are being exposed through song. Anybody that sees a baby doesn't say to the child, "Oh, hello, how are you today?" We all use that sing-song voice. Ah, oh, mommy, and we're always using this high-pitched sing-song voice when addressing young children. It's instinctive, and it's actually scientifically proven. It's called parent ease, okay? And basically what it is that children can hear language easier and understand it and decode language easier, okay, when it comes through song. or through that sing-song type of
So,
language.
so that's because while you're talking, I'm remembering Baba Black Sheep. Have you any wood? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, you're looking too much. Because I look at it that over time, what we grew up on, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, it's still the same thing that the new children are also. And I often wonder, is there no difference?
There can be. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be those specific songs. But the whole idea is anybody can create their own songs. I think there are songs in families, that become, the
The
family
chorus.
song for baby, the chorus that we use with our kids.
Mm,
So, I mean, basically, all a nursery rhyme is just telling stories through song. And those stories can be told in any language in any way. Some are universally known and
okay.
universally adopted. It doesn't mean that those are the only songs we can use with our kids. Do you
Mm.
understand? Um, go on.
I'm listening to you because I'm
Oh,
listening.
I thought you were going to say something. So, for example, in our baby classes, we actually theme the classes. So, for example, this term, the theme is music all around the world. Okay. And so each week we visit a different country.
Mm,
We learn songs from that culture. And we learn a little bit about, what their culture is and the, language and all of that and different activities.
mm,
And all of that adds to your child's vocabulary, their understanding of the world, their ability to relate to people who are different from them and to accept them. Okay. Um, they're learning obviously to follow instructions from somebody who is not their parent. Do you understand? Which
yeah.
is very helpful when you're going to go into a school setting. And they're learning to concentrate. That concentration is so important. We think that, oh, it's only a kid, kill 'em more, they can't really know very much. And we can sometimes be dismissive of just how much information children are taking in. But if
Mm,
you put them in a really well considered environment that is geared up for helping them to learn in a way that is efficient, in a way that is what's the word? Um,
cooperative.
oh, yeah, effective, then it makes such a difference. They understand how it feels to learn. They understand how it feels to sit quietly and follow
Oh,
somebody else's instructions.
okay.
Honestly, those things don't come naturally. And so when you have like some of because we give them instruments to play, but they don't just play it anyhow. They can't play the instruments jaga jaga. They have to follow the beat, follow the rhythm. We're making them listen and understand where to start and stop, for example. Language is the same thing. We don't just speak, we don't just have sounds coming out nonstop. There is a cadence to language. The same way there's a cadence to music. Yes, there's a rise and fall to language, there's a rise and fall to music. When a child is being taught how to respond to rhythm, to respond to, different pitches in different ways, it's helping them understand the association between sounds and certain actions. Okay. It's also we sometimes have activities where maybe we're passing something around the room, and every child has an opportunity, maybe a few seconds with a particular, maybe a teddy bear or something. And they're also learning that, okay, I have to share. Sharing is a good thing. Do you
Mm,
understand me? All of these things are done in a way that you cannot sit and lecture a child. They have to live it. They have to experience it. And the first few weeks when the child comes in and you're asking them maybe to return a musical instrument or to share something with another child, their instinct is mine. What is mine is mine, and you have crying and screaming and kicking their feet and all
tantrums.
of that stuff, tantrums. But eventually they understand that actually, oh, this is fine, it's okay.
Sharing.
Something else is gonna come. Yeah. So, there's a lot of conditioning intentionally built into what we do so that by the time your child goes to school, they're able to maximize that environment and make the most of the learning that you're paying for.
So all of this is happening right here in Nigeria, in Lagos.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Saturday
Because
mornings right now.
when children say, oh, they want a drum set, they're like, if we buy this drum set, the ariwolo of noise everywhere. And
Mm.
is it that as parents or as guardians, we need to regulate our own emotions towards children? Or where do we strike that balance when a child who, for example, wants attention or just wants to throw tantrum, and you as a parent or you as a guardian, you're like, Timba Mwe, how do you because I sometimes I'm caught in between the who do we regulate, the parents, the guardian, or the child who just constantly wants attention?
It's difficult. It really is difficult. And there's a different answer depending on what the situation is. There are
Okay.
101 reasons why children would throw a tantrum. And it's not always in reaction to the adults. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, you know.
Let's
But I
say,
think the most
is it a
go ahead.
balance? Because sometimes our children are just from heaven, not from where. Sometimes, so because it's so I'm asking this because when a child is throwing, let's say, tantrums, and the adult doesn't know how to regulate, because there's this constant you have to beat a child. Somehow of the opinion you don't beat children, you
Mm.
don't. Oh yeah, because some of us are culprits. So let's regulate ourselves. I'm with you.
Okay, so I think it's understanding what the issue is, and um what you want to do is diffuse the tension as much as possible. Do you understand me? So if your child is highly strung up, it's not necessarily going to help to add to that um state of
And
well-being by more shouting, by beating, by whatever it is.
mm,
Sometimes you have to just leave the child, go away. Do you understand me? And when they and maybe make it clear that okay, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to deal with you until you calm down. When you calm down, we're going to have a conversation about what happened. But the most important thing is to have that reflective conversation and say, okay, what happened just now? Why did you? Do you understand why maybe I took this thing from you or why I said no or whatever it is? And actually deal with them like a human being. Treat them like a human being with the kind of respect that you want them to accord to you. Do you understand me? Sometimes children are naughty for being naughty, just being naughty sake. And there have to be consequences. There has to be consequences for bad behavior. Do you understand me? But some of the most painful consequences are not, some of the lessons to be learned are not learned necessarily from beating. Okay. I know you've often heard about maybe people saying that, my dad was always cool and calm, but man, if he talks to me, I will cry for days. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
looks at you. He will
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So there are ways to influence a child or help a child understand what it is they have done wrong and why it is wrong, okay, without necessarily resorting to physical beatings. There are times when you do have to smack. I am from that point of view, but as in maybe if they're about to, I don't know whether you've seen this viral thing of these goats trying to enter the fire. Do you
and
understand me?
enter in fire.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes something dangerous is about to happen, and you have no other option but to maybe grab hold of the child, maybe tap them, their hand, tap them at the bottom, whatever, but not the beating where they've got marks all over their body. And, I think that's a bit extreme. But helping a child to understand what it is that what it is they've done wrong and consequences of that action, depriving them of something, even if it's for a season, and let them know that the reason why you are not having this thing is because of this behavior. But if that behavior improves, this will be restored. Do you understand me? I think it's a better way of helping them to mature and to understand that bad behavior has consequences.
Bad behavior has consequences. That's a note too. Now,
Yeah.
I'm pumped up with music and how you've been able to co-create a music company in Nigeria. Because it still sounds very new and very bougie, but tell me why
Yeah.
you started it.
Okay, so it was in 1997. I was pregnant with my son, my first child, when I first came across a magazine article in Time magazine that
Mm,
shared the research that was very new at the time. This research was only beginning to take hold around that time. of how learning to play a musical instrument helps a child develop cognitively and improves their brain function for life.
Mm.
Um, and how they don't necessarily have to become elite musicians, but that having a strong musical foundation can result in better processing of maths, physics, lead to better science, better art, anything, just improves a child's brain function. And at the time, I lived in the UK and they had lots of baby classes. You could, now that this is now a thing in Nigeria, it wasn't at the time, a few years ago, but it was a thing in the UK. And I was working full time, in IT consulting, and I was like, I don't have time to be taking my child to classes or whatever. And so I was kind of like thinking, oh, I would love to give my child an opportunity, but I don't have the space in my schedule.
To
Then
do it.
my husband's job changed. We were moving to another city, and through a long series of circumstances, I decided to give up my job in order to start a music education business. So I bought into a franchise, and all they did was run music classes for early years. And that's where I started working with children and their parents from, babies and toddlers. I did that for 10 years, and I saw the difference it was making. I was going to do it just for 5 years, but I couldn't help myself. I just kept renewing my license because I was having such an amazing time seeing how it was impacting the families that I served. And then this thought started coming to me around 10 years that who is doing this for the children in Nigeria?
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
And I couldn't shake that thought. And so eventually I sold the business in the UK after 12 years. Um, and I started with the early years Boogie Babies classes in Nigeria. But different to the organization I worked with, I also planned in a transition into instrumental learning. Okay. Once they have outgrown those classes, that they were able to step into something else. And so over time, been able to develop a full-fledged music school that starts from early years through to adults. And we have a very progressive curriculum that is carefully arranged in a way that allows the learning to happen organically, sustainably, and to give real skills to anyone. And what they learn is beyond just learning to play a musical instrument. Not everybody that I come across is going to be a musician,
Mm.
but what they are going to be is they're going to be resilient people. They're going to be familiar with feeling frustrated and then overcoming that feeling to get to a solution. If you're going to learn to play a piece of music to a high standard, it's a very frustrating process. You'll make a lot of mistakes along the way. You have to repeat and repeat and repeat. And doing that and eventually getting to a place where you're playing your pieces beautifully gives you a sense of self-worth. You come away thinking that, okay, that was hard, but I could do it. I can do hard things. And you're reinforcing that feeling that I can do hard things. Do you understand me? You're also doing something amazing if your children are learning to read as well as play. Because what the science tells us is that you are igniting three parts of your brain simultaneously. You're using your eyes, you're reading something, you're interpreting what you're reading to movement with your hands, and you're listening to yourself as you're playing. And you're judging as you're playing, am I playing this right or wrong? There's very few activities that would stimulate those three parts of your brain at the same time. And
Mm.
what the science has shown is that musicians, people who study music and play and learn to read from sheet music for an average of 5 years, they have a permanent change to the shape of their brain.
Mm.
The part of the brain that connects the left side to the right hand, the corpus callosum, which runs down the middle of your head, is strong, it's better developed, and it's more efficient in passing information across both sides of your brain than in people who haven't had that kind of training. And those benefits are with you for the rest of your life. It means that you're going to be better at processing maths. You're going to be better at processing physics and science and chemistry or whatever it is. Whatever you put your mind to, you're going to be better at coding because you have strengthened, okay, the architecture of your brain that helps you to handle information in whichever form it comes.
Now
And yeah,
tell
go on.
us, because this is interesting. Now tell us, while you're speaking, I'm looking at which. Tell us about a child in class. that learnt any instrument and they became better for it?
There are many, 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 many stories
Which one
um
stands out for you?
over the years. Um,
Because it's almost
I,
like
I,
Boogie Baby is
I,
not the new
I,
crutch. Boogie Baby,
I
new crutch. Boogie
well,
Baby. That's what I'm
um,
saying.
I think I see it a lot in, especially the youngest ones when they first come. And like I said, they're almost feral. They're like little animals. Do you understand me?
Okay.
They're all over the place. They can't focus. They can't concentrate. They can't follow instructions. They don't, and they're really, really, for a better word for it, wild. Okay. And just through sheer force of repetition and just gently like getting them used to the routine and settled into the classes, they then begin to show and express themselves creatively. They're able to follow instructions. They're able to eventually settle down to learn a musical instrument. They can start to play tunes. Do you understand me? On the piano, when they graduate to the Montessori piano classes, yeah, they're able to stand in front of their schools because we teach in schools as well. So the end of graduation, we have a few graduation concerts coming up. They're able to play for their parents in front of a whole audience. And
Oh,
people think that, oh, it's because that child is gifted. No, it's because that child was trained.
trying.
It's because that child was trained. That's the difference. It's not necessarily we all have a gift, the gift to be able to make music, and we just need the patient, um, you know, the
Wait.
patient guidance. You understand me to be able to bring that out. And the number of times a lot of my students do incredibly well at school. They get scholarships into elite schools in the UK, and they, as part of the interview process for those schools, they would often choose to do music, have a music assessment, and they do incredibly well. And so it really, I see a lot of my students do well, not just in music, but across the board. They tend to do well in multiple subjects. Um, and I don't believe that is because they were born brilliant. I think that it really is a difference that having a well-structured music education makes to your ability to handle information, process it, and present it in whichever form.
Okay. The signals on 91.3, we're discussing music as a tool for learning. Music as a tool for learning. If you have questions, call us 0704 700 9913, or you can send us a WhatsApp message 0809 234 5913. Call us 0704 100 7913 or 0704 700 9913. Send us a WhatsApp message 0809 234 5913. I'm trying not to be mischievous, but it looks like if you have kids that they are at home and they're not doing anything, you should come and put them in Kumbi's music school so that they will have focus. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Good morning. Your name or where are you calling us from?
hello.
Good morning. I can hear you.
I'm calling from Israel, and my name is Yamatobi.
Please reduce the volume of your radio set.
Okay,
Thank you.
where do you have your location?
Okay. Where is your location?
I am
Um,
in
s-
Israel, precisely.
Okay. So the location of the music school is where?
so we have three branches, one in Ojudu, in Obalende, and in Lekki, and we also teach online, so we can teach anybody anywhere.
So Ojodu, Lekki, and
And
Obalende.
Ikoyi, Obalende, yes, Ikoyi, yeah.
Okay then. Hello, Mama. Have you heard?
I've heard.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
And you too. Now we have few questions. One is, how do you design your music curriculum to maximize its educational benefits?
So as early as possible, we introduce playing from a score. It's not necessarily notation yet, but what we're trying to do is to help children associate symbols to sound. Okay,
Okay.
so if you see a certain symbol, you're going to make a certain type of sound. That is important for reading, because what is reading? Reading is attaching symbols to sounds. Okay, so we start to lay those foundations right from the very beginning. Also, we make sure that there's a level of challenge in everything that they do, because our brain likes challenge, and that is how our brain grows. Okay, so music education that challenges your brain to do more and more difficult things in a structured way is actually helping you build your capacity to handle processing, full stop. And people who have suffered brain injury, for example, and have music as part of their therapy, what they find is that the brain is forced to create new pathways to
Mm.
bypass those parts of the brains that have been damaged and to create new pathways. You understand me? To be able to process information. That's how, some people who have a really terrible accident and maybe lose movement or something along the line eventually are able to start walking again or start feeding themselves or whatever. And it's been found that having music as part of their intervention speeds up that process and makes it more likely for them to recover some function.
So another question from someone is, how do you measure the impact of music on student learning outcomes at KMC? How do you measure impact of music on student learning outcomes?
So what we measure is the learning outcomes of the programs that we deliver. So every session, every term, we have a set of learning outcomes for each student that the teacher sets. And
Okay.
we have assessments that measures their development in those areas. And we produce reports for the parents, so the
Mm.
parents can see. We have something called the Learn Framework. So we're looking at the listening skills, we're looking at the technical skills, their ability to sight read music, their ability to perform, their knowledge of music theory. Okay. And we try to make sure that we cover all those areas every term. And as and when the students have attained certain skill levels, we then recommend to the parents that actually your child is now able to do an international music exam. And
Mm.
we are a recognized center for several international exam boards, such as the ABRSM, such as Trinity College, London, the London College of Music, International School of Musicians, the Music Teachers Board. We work with a variety of exam boards to suit the needs of our students, because certain boards will work better for certain students than others. And so for those parents who want it, um, we have a very structured pathway to exams for the children to be able to take international music exams. And but they don't all have to take exams, and not everybody is able to take exams. It doesn't mean they can't be a good musician. You understand?
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. The third one is, what age group benefits the most from music-based learning techniques?
So all age groups benefit. Even
Really?
learning, yes, all ages. You're never too old or too young. Even they find that adults who learn to play musical instruments, um, it reduces their risk of getting dementia.
Okay.
It can minimize, because it's a brain gym. Learning to play musical instrument is a workout for your brain. So if you're using your brain in certain ways, okay, it's going to reduce the effects of degenerative brain disease.
You need to repeat it and say it loudly. You're crazy.
Is a gym. Learning to play a musical instrument is a gym for your brain. And so it can actually help to minimize or even prevent the development of degenerative brain disease like dementia, like Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So it's good for all ages. Now, in terms of the best benefits, they found that children who start to learn, who start to take part in music activities as toddlers, okay, and do so before the age of 5 or 6, the benefits from in terms of reading and cognition happen earlier in life for them, and it lasts longer. you
Mm.
understand me, than those who come to it later. Everybody gets benefits from learning music, but those who start earlier get they get the benefits quicker and it lasts longer.
Wow. So I go and be playing my instrument jejely to avoid brain gym. I've learned something today. 0704 100 7913 if you have questions for Kumbi Osinoiki. She's the co-founder and CEO of Kumbi Music Company based in Lagos, Nigeria. So you know all those children that they are disturbing you. You are playing drum sets. Bring them. And come
They
and
should
drum
bring
them.
them.
Bring
They should
them.
bring them.
Now, what about special needs children?
I,
For parents and guidance who have special needs children, how can music help them?
Music is fantastic with special needs children. We have quite a few special needs children that we work with. We have children with autism. We work with children with cerebral palsy, dyslexic kids, kids with ADHD. We have all sorts of neurological, we're a neurodiverse studio. So we work with children with all sorts of different needs. It's important, first of all, for parents to be open with us and to be if the child has a neurological condition, so that we adopt the right kinds of teaching approaches to suit their child. Because at the end of the day, they're going to need a tailored program. They can't necessarily follow the same program as the neurotypical kids. But what music does, especially with children with autism, is that it gives them an opportunity to express themselves. Children who have speech delay or children who don't have language, music becomes a medium for them to communicate. Okay.
Mm.
And it's an opportunity for them to begin to be able to express themselves. And what we find is that especially autistic kids, they absolutely love having their music lessons, um, you know, playing their tunes, singing along, and things like that. And it does help to unlock, some of the barriers that they experience especially in relation to communication, especially in relation to emotional regulation. So for example, sometimes, some of my autistic parents will say that, oh, he just goes to his room and just plays. He just plays the keyboard,
Play it so
for
loud.
hours.
They'll play it so loud.
Yeah.
Now, there's something you mentioned about ADHD. Everybody is now, we are here, everybody saying I have ADHD. Please explain.
So
Because
ADHD,
saying it's almost like a buzzword, and I'm like, this is not right.
it's not a buzzword. Many years ago, we had a student come to a studio called Joko Tade.
Okay.
And Joko could not Joko. He
Hmm.
could not sit down. So it's funny. His name was like, he was like somebody, but he was completely opposite to that.
Hmm.
So ADHD is actually a neurological condition. It's not a buzzword. Okay. It's to do with the way the brain is wired, which means that which results in hyperactivity in the person, whether a child or an adult. So people with ADHD, and I have a neurological family. So my son was diagnosed with ADD when he was 17. ADD means he doesn't have the hyperactivity, but he has a attention deficit disorder. So
Okay.
basically, you struggle to focus, you struggle to maintain focus, or you hyper focus to the exclusion of everything else. Okay. So, and sometimes you can swing between those two.
Straight
Okay.
jacketed focus. It's straight
Yes.
jacketed focus.
Yes.
Hold your thoughts a bit, please.
Okay.
0704 700 9913. If you call us or send us a WhatsApp message, go ahead, please, quickly.
Okay. So ADHD can even be made worse by if a child is always involved watching like fast-paced, cartoons and things like that. Because it's just like,
It's
it's
on a
always
drive.
like everything is moving and they expect life to move like that. So when the classroom is not, moving at like Tom and Jerry or whatever the cartoons they're watching these days, it's like they can't engage, they can't relate. And what music is able to do is to kind of soothe the edges of that condition.
And
Do
calm
you
them down.
understand me? And help them to learn how to focus. Okay. It gives them an opportunity to practice how to focus for sustained periods of time. And it can make the symptoms and expressions of ADHD a lot less. It's not a cure, but what it can do is to tame it and to give the child the opportunity to learn how to focus for any length of time.
Okay. Now, we've spoken about music as a tool for learning, and it's quite broad. And thank you. Thank you for spending your time, spending your resources, because heaven knows that patience is your strong word. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you look back in time, so far with Kumbi Music Company, and you as a person, how fulfilling can it get?
It's incredibly fulfilling. You remember I told you that when I went into the whole do music for early years in the UK, I was only going to do for 5 years. It was a 5-year contract. And at the end of the 5 years, I couldn't imagine my life without it. In that 5 years, I had two more children. So I went in with one child and I came out with three. And I was also myself now taking my children to the classes, and I was seeing the effect it was having on them. And I thought, I have to do this for more children. I have to do this for more families. It's been tricky in Nigeria where we don't have the language, and it's not part of our culture yet. And we're working to help and equip parents to understand how important this is and why it is that other societies, especially in Asia, have such robust music programs in their schools, especially in early years. There's a reason for it because it's priming and tuning those children's brains for learning. They're developing optimal learners in those societies. Okay. And so for those parents who are interested, we're always constantly sharing resources and interviews and research and all sorts of things just to equip them to help them know that this is for everybody, not just for a few. And what we also try to do is to broaden access to music for as many people as possible, regardless of your ability to pay. So we have some of our lessons on a schedule that people can attend for reduced fee. There's some classes, especially for the under ones and for the children with special needs, we just say pay what you can afford. And the reason we can do this is because we have people who sponsor the work that we do, okay, who believe in what we're doing and who, give us, funding that allows us to then make classes accessible to kids. And this summer, we're going to be doing a teen challenge hunt, where we do this every year on the 7th and
Teenagers
14th.
challenge on.
Yes, teen talent.
Teen talent on.
Teen talent hunt, yeah, on the 7th and the 14th of June, where the kids can come in, sing for us, play music instrument, do whatever it is, all those teens that love music, show us what you have. We're not looking for, those who have already made it. We're looking for potential. So if you have a musical potential, we then give a scholarship. We give a scholarship to take lessons over the summer.
Okay.
And then for those who do that really well, they get a year-long scholarship at the back of that, where they get to learn 2 musical instruments for a year.
Okay. So, a message comes in says that nice presentation on your radio program today. The frequency was superb and I enjoyed the speaker. Is she a psychiatrist? She's an all-rounded personality, everything together. She has not answered my question yet. She's trying to dodge it. Number 1 is, what musical instrument do you play? You.
I play the piano and I sing.
Okay. Mr. Osinoiki has plenty choir inside here. That's one. Number 2, how can they reach you? How can Lagos, how can Nigerians reach you?
So our website, kumbismusiccompany.com. They can also get us on WhatsApp, 081-222-12289.
Cannot play musical instrument too. Call it in Nigeria. Come back home first. Oh yeah, call the number very well.
081 222 222 12289.
Okay, then. So Kumbi's Music Company, you can find them also on Instagram. Now,
Yeah.
after lessons, and you go back home, how do you feel?
Fulfilled. Really, really fulfilled. I spend a lot of time because I have a team that teach with me, and I spend a lot of time just going over the reports of how the children are doing. We have strategy meetings where we talk about each of the students. We plan their, okay, their progression, where they're going. If there are any issues, we talk about, okay, how are we going to address these issues? How are we going to help this child be a better version of themselves? And to be able to do that, it's just to be able to touch lives. I don't think there is anything more fulfilling than that. I literally have the best job in the world.
Thank you very much. Well, if you have teenagers, you want to do a Teens Talent Hunt, please bring them. Please bring them. If you are
We
looking
want
for,
all your noisemakers in your
oh
house.
yes,
All your
yes, the
bring
noise,
all your noisemakers.
and they will not allow you to rest after you are gone from work. Bring them to the Teens Talent Hunt. Look
Yeah.
for her on it's easy. Just go on Instagram and look for Kumbi's Music Company. All the children that used to make noise, I will not allow you to sleep. They need them. And thank you for making good use of their energies and channeling their energies to musical instruments. Thank you.
Yes.
That's because
Thank
sometimes
you.
when you come back home and the child is making noise, or more, is that you pack them and bundle it to their father's house or their mother's house or their grandparents' house. But it's good that we can bring them to a place. And thank you for creating a platform where nothing is a waste. Nothing is a waste because most
No,
times you see
nothing.
children and they're like, I know because we're a cultural nation, they look at a child and they're like, oh, the child will not amount to anything. But you are able to look at those children and you know what I'm talking about. You look at those children and you're able to bring something out, the gems out of them. You're able to bring out the diamonds from them. So thank you very much for the work that you do. Well, thank you, understand. Till we come your way again next week, Saturday, on Signals, dream again, create opportunities for people because people will be people. Keep creating opportunities for them. Have a wonderful new week. Thank you again, Kumbi Osinoiki from Kumbi's Music Company. Well done, well done, well done.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate. Thank
No
you.
problem. Okay. Thank you. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yes, I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it. Let it take you rolling.
The person trying to sack QB doesn't have enough time to think